Everybody, it's Dana. I'm back today to make a card for a dear sweet friend of mine. Susan Opal's father had to have surgery, and all of us in the crafting community want to wish her father get well wishes. So I'm going to make a card and send it to him. All right, so I'm going to just grab a regular piece of white cardstock here, and then I'm going to do some blending with some distress inks. These happen to be two of my favorite colors, so I'm going to work with these two. I'm going to go ahead and grab my daubers and my sponges, but I'm going to go ahead and stick that paper down so it's not shifting around when I'm trying to do my blending. So all I do is use a low tack adhesive just to tack it down to my craft mat. All right, now we can get busy. I will have to say the blending technique is a little bit of a challenge to me because I see some fantastic women doing this technique and they make it look so easy. I still have to try to master this, but I think like anything else, the more you do it, the more comfortable you get with doing it and the easier it becomes. But I do know that when I start this, and anytime I do it, I always want to start off of my off of my paper onto my craft mat, and you're kind of blending the color into the paper from the outer corners. So that's what you're going to see me doing here. I'm just trying to grab some of the color, take it from off of the craft mat, and then blend it onto my paper. I am going to leave the center of it a little bit lighter because I want my little images that I'm going to use on my card to kind of be the focal point. And that would kind of shine like a spotlight on them. Okay, now I'm going to grab my next color, and this one is Spiced Marmalade, and I don't think I said what the other color was, but that was Scattered Straw. All right, again, I'm going to be working the color in from the edges. And I really like this Spiced Marmalade color because it's kind of like a bright, reddy, orange, yellow color. It just really gives like a really strong, almost like tropical color to me. That's, I guess, the best way I can explain it. So I'm just going to keep working that in, again, going off from the craft mat onto the paper. And even though I keep doing this, I'm also going to go back and blend it back out with my first color because I want to make sure I try to remove some of those really harsh lines by blending those two colors together. Just going to grab a little bit more of the Scattered Straw, make sure I kind of get rid of my harsh lines. And I'm just going to fill in the center a little bit. All right, I think that's come together quite well. Not perfect, but again, you know, we just got to keep working on our craft because that's what we do. That's what makes us happy. We're good. I'm going to clean off my area, and now I'm going to bring in a stamp set. I'm using this adorable one. This is called Get Well Soon from Lawn Fawn. I've used this set before, so I went ahead and die cut some extra pieces out for the next time. So there they are. And I don't have to run that through my die cut machine. Now I'm going to lay out my pieces onto my craft mat so I can line everything up perfectly. I love, love, love. I think this little chick in here, I don't know why, like, I feel the need to name her. I think she looks like a Gertrude. I don't know why, like, you know, Nurse Gertrude or something. But anyway, I'm going to name her, and that's her name. So her name from now on is Gertrude. I'm going to grab my Memento ink, and I like using Memento because I'm going to be coloring today, and I'm going to be using some Spectrum Noir markers, and I don't want anything to bleed, so that's why I'm going to use my Memento ink. And I'm just going to line each one of the little medicine bottle, the little check, and the Band-Aid. I'm just going to line them up, you know, as accurately as I can. I'm not trying to be a perfectionist because, you know, in crafting and card making, yeah, we shoot and we strive for perfection, but everything's handmade. So, you know, we're not machines. We can't make everything perfect, but that's what gives our cards character. That's my story, and I'm going to be sticking to that story. So did you like Gertrude? Did you like how she came out? She's so stinking cute. Okay, now I'm going to line up my Band-Aid. Make sure I get that lined up pretty accurately. And I'm just going to press that down. And easy peasy, now the centerpieces of the card are already done. So now all we have to do is get to coloring. So let's get all this stuff out of the way. And let's go ahead and grab some markers. I'm going to zoom in just a tad bit. Okay, I overkilled on that one, but we're good. We're just going to keep rolling with this. So I'm going to grab just a handful of markers, and I'm going to start off by coloring her little hat. I'm going to use DR1 and DR5. And since these images are really small, usually sometimes I like to go with like a 3-color palette, but since, you know, these pieces are really, really tiny, I'm just going to go with 2. And I'm not going to use like the medium color that will blend. I'm actually going to use the darker and the lighter and make my lighter do my blending for me. So you're going to see me doing that when I do the hat. So as you can see, it's just a faint shadow around the outside of it, and just the inside is lighter. All right, I think I want to add a little bit more depth in the corner. And I'm really sorry for the camera not focusing. I guess I'm just drawn in too close. But that's okay. We're just going to keep pressing on. So she's done for now. And now I'm going to color up my Band-Aid. And I'm going to use TN3 and TN5 for this, because that kind of looks like the color of my Band-Aids anyway. So it's really easy to do these tiny pieces, and I have to tell you, this is going to end up being a clean and simple card. And I don't really do a lot of clean and simple cards. I love watching other people do them, but for some reason I find it kind of challenging. So we're just going to work with this one. But I would tell you, every time I do a clean and simple card, I kind of love it even more. And then, you know, my favorite place to go to for inspiration of clean and simple cards are other people's blogs. And hello, we have Pinterest. So, you know, go to Pinterest, look up Lawn Fawn, and you can find some adorable cards made, and you can get your clean and simple ideas off of that. Okay, lastly, I'm going to do the little pill bottle. And when I want to do white with my Spectrum Noir markers, I use the IG1 and either IG2 or IG3. Because, you know, when something's white, it's not just a flat color. It has like a little bit of gray or blue or sometimes even a purpley kind of tinge. So that's how I do my colors when I'm coloring white. Either I'll go for the grays, some of the very, very pale blues, or sometimes some of the pale purples, because that kind of gives the reflection of kind of light, and that kind of like is what works, I guess, what works the best for me. So as you can see, it looks like just a little bit of shadow on my pill bottle. I'm going to go in with just a little bit more, and then I'm going to grab my red so I can go ahead and fill in my heart. And again, that is the DR1, and then I'm going to do my cap as well. Now in my heart, I'm not worried about a shadow because it's really such a tiny part, and I don't want to end up messing up the rest of my pill bottle. So I'm going to skip over kind of shading that, and I'm just going to shade around the top of my cap. So you can kind of see where like the center is kind of light. Now I got to get a yellow to do my birdie. So I'm going to pick CT1 and CT4. The CT1 is going to give a really bright yellow to my cute little chickie Gertrude. So I'm going to color her up, and she's going to look fabulous against the orangey color kind of background of my card. And I'm going to just do a quick little outline around her with my CT4. Again, I so apologize for the camera going blurry. Note to self, do not zoom in so quickly. And I'm going to add a little bit of a button nose with my 0 or OR1 and OR2. I don't think it's a 0, I think it's O. So I'm just going to put a little bit down, and then I'm really just going to put 2 little dots for the little nose, and then we're going to be done. Alrighty, let's get these puppies on a card. So I grabbed a really bright orange card base to actually make my panel really pop. Isn't that look pretty? Alright, so I'm just going to grab my ATG gun and go ahead and let me zoom out so you're not just looking at the very top of my adhesive here. And this card is coming together nicely. All right, let me just line it up on my grid line, or my grids on my mat rather, and place that down. Let's make sure I get it down good on the first try. Alrighty. Now I want to place down my my pieces here so I can see where I need to line up my sentiment. So I'm going to put Gertrude in the middle, then my pill bottle, Gertrude, and then my Band-Aid. So let me go ahead and grab my sentiment, and I'm going to place that underneath. Oh, I forgot the little exclamation point or mark. Let me get that too. All right. So what I like to do is try to figure out where I want to have my sentiment. And I can't forget that little piece on the end because that's going to count when I line everything up correctly. I need this to be really straight, so I'm going to get a ruler. And I'm going to bump my ruler up against my sentiment. And see if I can get that to be a little bit straighter. Yeah, I think that's good. Alrighty, I still feel like I'm a little off, but we're going to fix that at the end. Yeah, I think that's better. Alright, so I'm going to go ahead and pick that up on my block. And then anytime that I'm doing a sentiment, I like to use my Onyx Black VersaFine ink. It gives me a really crisp image, especially when I'm using sentiments on a card. So I'm going to tap some of that on. I'm going to line that up. That looks pretty good, so I'm going to move everything out the way so I don't end up stamping on it. And I want it to be kind of down below a little bit of that yellow highlight on the card. Yep, that is perfecto. Now I'm going to grab that exclamation point, or mark rather, and see if I can line that up straight. And I'm just going to pick that up with a smaller block. I don't need that big block for just that tiny, tiny piece. All right, let's go ahead and ink this up. Oh, well, let me go ahead and clean that off because I don't want that black to end up getting on this cute card. And now I realize that I actually have the stamp on backwards. So let me go ahead and clean that off. You know, I don't have my glasses on and I'm over 40, so Lord help me. Don't get me wrong, there is nothing bad about being in your 40s, honey, because I love, love, love my life. But, you know, some things go. Some things don't sit as higher as others, and, you know, eyesight gets a little bit challenging, but we're all good. We're going to work with it. All right, I got everything lined up now on my acrylic block because it has a grid, so there you have it. I can go ahead and make sure that's lined up perfectly and put it right down next to my sentiment. That looks fantastic. Now I want to give this a little bit of dimension. So let's grab my roll of double-sided tape. I love this roll. Now don't get me wrong, I still use the pop-ups that are on like the sheet, the pop-up dots that are on sheets. I still use them. But when I'm doing smaller things like they're usually in like just squares or in circle shapes. So when I have the foam tape on a roll, I can cut down the middle of the tape and then kind of custom make my pop-up dots. So that's really the only reason. No other really rhyme or reason for it. So I'm just going to put some on the back of my Band-Aid. And then that other smaller piece that I just cut, I can go ahead because that's going to fit in the back of my pill bottle just fine. Now for Gertrude, I'm going to cut down one little piece and place on the back, and that other strip I'll just put back on the roll for later. Alrighty. So usually when I put my my images or whatever I'm using down on foam tapes, I don't press it too hard onto the paper at first because I'm just putting it down for placement, not to like permanently stick until I get everything lined up the way I want it. So I need to go ahead and scoot that Band-Aid over just a little bit, and I will scoot my pill bottle over a tad bit. And then Gertrude has to shimmy over to the left. Alrighty, perfect. Now, how cute is that? I hope her dad likes it. I'm just going to use a regular white card base. And I think This paper I have here is the Paper Studio from Hobby Lobby. This is the heavy duty or heavyweight, I think it is, cardstock. Now I'm going to bring back in my panel, and we're just going to grab some adhesive and run it on the back, and our card is almost complete. Let's go ahead and pop that over. Make sure I line everything up right. Make sure I have the opening on the right side, because I've done that before. I put down a panel and realized that the card was not in the right direction. Alrighty, now I want to put some stitching all the way around my panel. And the reason I'm going to do that is, one, I want to add another element to the card, but two, I want to have a little bit more black, because like the sentiment's black and it's kind of just getting lost with all the bright color around it. So I think just having a faux stitching is actually going to ground my card a little bit. Alright, I am totally complete with my stitching, my faux stitching. And here is sending Mr. Eggert a speedy recovery, sending hugs from Georgia. I just wanted to show you the finished card. I added one more detail before I go. I decided to add a couple of water splotches. I think it came out really cool. I'll see you guys soon. Go forth and be crafty. Thanks for watching my video today. If you liked what you saw, give me a thumbs up. Also, don't forget to subscribe. You don't want to miss anything. And you can check me out on my blog, www.joycreations.blogspot.com. I'll see you back here soon. Take care.